Hello, beautiful people. Are you looking for an RPG with a great world to explore, a bunch of spells, a lot of unique weapons, and all the interesting lore of Dark Souls, but none of the reading needed? Then I have a game to show off to you. Full disclosure, I got a key from the devs, but all thoughts and words are my own, and I have a lot of those to share. But before we jump in, let's get the introductions out of the way. Hello, I'm WolfmanDan08. Welcome to my channel, and if you enjoy indie games, why not consider subscribing? I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs, and every little bit helps. But enough about that. Let's talk about Verho, Curse of Faces. Humanity has been brought to the brink of extinction after the Curse of Faces. A curse where revealing one's face to another means instant death. After 264 years of solitude, the Maker arrived, who's helped out the people by showing them the symbol of safety, the masks. Now everyone wears a mask, whether strange, interesting, or just plain terrifying. The masks protect them by hiding their faces from each other. While no one knows what the origins of the curse are, many travelers have ventured the world looking for the source, and finally something might have been revealed. There are stories about the curse originating from the land of Yarith. Verho is a King's Field-like. Now, what that means and how it differs from a Souls-like isn't exactly set in stone, but I'm going to try and do my best. It's mostly first person, has a normal leveling system, no collecting of souls and losing them on death. When you die, you just die and have to reload. What both genres share are vibes and an incredible atmosphere, but the King's Field-likes are usually throwback graphically to either the PSX or PS2 era of gaming. There have been some indies that can be classified as field-likes, from Lunicid, which is the top tier, Fly Knight, that is more combat focused, Hark the Ghoul is coming out next year and looking fantastic, Labyrinth of the Demon King adds in survival horror and is masterful but doesn't hit the right notes exactly. And then there's the free Lunicid spin-off, Tears of the Moon, which is closest to a field-like in that it was literally made in the King's Field engine. So laying down what a King's-like is, Verho feels closer to the original King's Field games, but has some quality of life elements that Lunicid also brought forward. Similar, but different. You start off by picking your mask, which is your class. I chose Nameless because I love starting from the bottom and building up, but there's a good variety of classes on offer. Whether it's about range, melee, magic, or a mix, you can choose however you want to play. Once you reach the town later, you can respec all your stats, so you're not stuck with your initial decision. Over the course of the game, you'll find more weapons and spells to equip, and use if you have the prerequisite skills to wield them. I found a cool ice mace, and have been pretty much maining it while casting spells from a distance, because I love having the enemies stare at my cool mace while I blast their face off with a fire spell. Combat is done without a stamina bar, which means you can hit quickly for low damage, but can also charge attacks to deal a bigger blow. Magic also needs to be charged up, which then depletes your mana bar. It's not the most intricate system on the market. You can also block if you have a shield equipped. There's no armor, just rings to equip, so you want to make sure you level up properly if you plan on taking enemies head on, especially since some of them can get quite big. Along the way, you'll meet all kinds of characters, some giving quests and others giving helpful directions to your next location. They'll also give some background to the world and dump lore on you. If you love speculating on the world and its history, then you'll be a pig in mud with this game.
Small human. I'm Parentius, smith of this village.
Some will also sell items that can be bought with gold, which you can find pretty easily after you kill enemies or just break boxes. These are all over and respawn every time you leave an area and return. Traveling around, you'll find these statues of the Maker that are save spots, and also act as fast travel stations and allow you to level up. I feel such relief whenever I stumble upon one in an area, and the way it lights up the first time you interact with it. So satisfying. And there you have the basic details about the game. Now let's move on and talk about the positives and negatives. Verho is the kind of game where I feel the effort behind the screen, and how much love was put into the final product. I just want to start off by talking about where the game succeeds, in its atmosphere and world building. The PSX style aesthetic is used incredibly well, the areas between dungeons feeling suitably large and aren't a confusing labyrinth. I remembered all of the layouts without getting lost, and the different lighting makes every location stand out, and feel like a surprising mix between cozy and dangerous. The larger areas differentiate themselves perfectly with the dungeons, which feel more oppressive, dark, and maze-like. They're filled with little sections meant to hide enemies or traps that ambush and kill you. It makes the world feel very interconnected and alive, if I can use the old cliche. Even though the graphics are very low poly, I found myself just admiring the design in the giant open areas, like the hall of the church or the road to a giant torture pit. Even though the levels are relatively small and could easily force you to backtrack, but thanks to the fast travel system, I'm allowed more time to admire them instead of just running through the levels. I appreciate the game not wasting my time. But what makes a world feel immersive and memorable is how it tells the story, and I do enjoy how it's done here. The themes are well thought out, with the masks everyone wears hiding their identity as they tell their stories, which are either full of lies or obscure some details. Character will tell you how an event happened, but the notes you find or other people you talk to show another harsher reality. I love that all this is told through just conversation and some environmental storytelling. I don't have to go into item descriptions to follow along what's happening. I don't mind that method of storytelling. This just feels strangely fresh in comparison. I'm following the story at its pace instead of having to stop and research what's happening. Now, where the game is kind of hit or miss is with combat. It's fun, and I'm so grateful there's no stamina bar. It makes combat less laborious where you don't have to wait for your stamina to refill. Instead, just charge your slashes and attack while dodging the enemy. But where it becomes a bit stale is most enemies just sidestep a little or reverse while hitting, and you'll never get hit. It's very bare bones and takes some of the tension out of combat. You have a block, but I never used it. There is always more than enough room to dodge a fireball or sword slash. Some enemies do run away every time you hit them. The bats are guilty of being able to fly out of my reach, but even with those limitations on them, the game is still difficult. No thanks to enemies that deal a good amount of damage, and if you're not careful, you'll die quickly. But the game is terrible at indicating where the damage is coming from, or if it's even being dealt. And there's no cooldown on it, which means that if an enemy deals damage by touching you, once it's in your space, you're dead. I can forgive that in sections where they're laid out as traps to kill me, but too many times I accidentally walked into an enemy and died before I could get away. I warn you now, if you try to run, you'll just die tired. And since you spawn back at where you saved, you'll have to fight those enemies again, meaning more backstep, hit, sidestep, hit, etc. As a positive, the weapons and magic do feel fun to use. They have a suitable crunch to their sound design that takes some of the dullness away, but some of their stat requirements are a bit bafflingly high. 33 dex for a regular scythe means I can never wield one unless I respec. I'm one of those people who loves just playing random builds. I don't care about min-maxing, I just want to cast spells and wield the chosen weapon of death. Luckily, spells are fun to use. You have the normal elemental damage dealing spells, fire burns over time, I have an ice blast that slows down enemies, and even an auto-aiming wind beam that deals good damage. But most useful has been the identify spell, which lets me know what an enemy's weaknesses are, and really helped me out when I started fighting these ghosts that just soak up damage and were murdering me. I found some more spells, but wasn't leveled for them yet. But it's been the most fun way to play so far, and there's a good variety of elemental and status effects to use. Equipping spells and weapons can be difficult though. I have more than on one occasion accidentally slotted 2 of the same spells in my hotbar, and this brings up another complaint. The menu's awful. It looks bland, and when you bring it up, it doesn't pause the game, which is a weird choice since the game doesn't have multiplayer, and you can't use items in the menu. Scrolling through your items is very unintuitive, and gets more frustrating the more items I pick up, and equipping weapons is harder than it should be. You'll eventually find a much needed torch for light, but you equip it instead of it being an item, which is fine. But if you equip it, you can't unequip it. I tried to equip my hand, trust me, that makes sense, but I swapped out my weapon by mistake. I had to equip a 2-handed weapon or a shield to get rid of it. You can put it in the second weaponry slot to swap to, but that's where I keep my crossbow. This drove me a little nuts, and it was harder than any of the bosses I fought. To talk about some positives again, every character you meet is voice acted, and I want to give a moment to say thank you to the devs and actors.
Well, you're still alive.
I love all of the performances. The mic quality on some of them was a bit distracting, but I'm so grateful to see them make the extra effort instead of doing what Lunacid did with the Banjo-Kazooie speech. I'm sorry, but it's never worked for me. Even in Okami, it just becomes this annoying, pervasive noise.
I held in my hands the key to banishing the wraith.
Perfect. I have a soft spot for effort, and I will say with full sincerity, good job everyone. I'm currently about 5 hours in, and I don't want to spoil any more, but I look forward to playing further. Verho Curse of Faces has enchanted me with its effort, well-paced story, progression, and just amazing atmosphere. I hope the devs keep adding content. The world has really pulled me in a way so few games do lately, and I think you should all check it out if you enjoy a solid RPG. There we go. Glad to recommend an RPG. Haven't played enough of them this year, and Verho is a really good time. If you're on the fence about the game, there's a demo that transfers over your save to the full release, so maybe dip your toes into that. But I hope I've sold you all on the title, and let me know if you've already played it or plan on getting it in the future. And until next time, have a great day and enjoy gaming. Goodbye.